Okay, we are going to change the front disc brake pads, and you can see down here the pads are getting worn pretty thin. You can see the right disc pad has sheared off. So I'm going to take these off and put in new pads, semi-metallic disc brake pads in the front. And there are just 2 bolts to take off. This one here and this one here, and then the caliper comes right off. Inside of here you can just see the pistons inside of that, and we will squeeze those back into the caliper, and you can see that they are extended a bit down in there. Okay. So I'm going to just do that with a flat blade screwdriver, and we're just going to stick the blade in here. And bring the rotor back. I need 2 hands. Okay, so I have a little bar clamp on one side of the caliper over to the other side of the frame of the caliper, and then I can get a screwdriver in here and fulcrum the caliper back. Let me get some space here. Okay, and there you can see the caliper beginning to open up. The pistons are recessing back into the frame of the caliper, the housing. There's 2 pistons. So it just takes a couple of minutes. Pull the calipers back into position. There you can see the pressure is off of my bar clamp, and it is just popping off. So I don't need that to get it started anymore, but you can see the gap in there is starting. You can see the gap is beginning to open up now. So I just keep prying, spreading the caliper and opening it up. Okay, so the caliper is loose enough that I can undo it. So let me try and undo the caliper here. Let's see if I can get a better camera angle. Okay, let's see how that works. I think that has an angle on the caliper. Okay. 17mm bolt on top, 17mm bolt on bottom. Okay, and you need a little short extension. There's the top one. Bottom one. Okay. There's one bolt. Whenever you're working on your truck or car, you always want to look around at all the other components, make sure everything is in okay shape. I had a runaway socket there. Okay. And there we go. And you don't want to breathe the dust from these brake pads. Not good for you. And they just pop out of there. Pull these spring clips out of here. Keep those. Your brake kit may or may not have new ones. Here's the first one. So you can see this one has been under heat. You see all the heat cracks in it there. Let's see what this one looks like. This one's down to the metal. Which that's not good. So that one there, the brake pad material came off. So I've got some rotor damage here. And I'm just going to hit that with a sander and just sand it. I know a lot of people will say, you can't do that. Well, yeah, actually you can, and it'll work fine. So let me, I'll leave the clips here. You've got a clip here. Should be a clip up there. Okay, there we go. Just like that. Is that how it goes? There we go. Okay, that's okay. So those are the retaining clips, spring clips. Okay, let me go get some sandpaper and I will sand this off. Okay, so I'm just going to take the mount bracket for the calipers off and pull off the disc and sand that off. .15/16 bolts. Okay. There you go. We'll get that off later. Okay. And that frame comes right off. The disc brake rotor comes off. Just like that. And this is a relatively new rotor. So the damage isn't horribly bad. But let me go sand it. And then the disc brake pad will just conform to the shape of the rotor and it'll be fine. I'm not going to worry about it. The rotors, Ford designed these things and they already have a pulsing in the brakes anyway. And never been able to get rid of the pulsing. New rotors, new calipers, new brake pads, Nothing seems to work. Okay, let's sand it off. Okay, I have sanded off, scored the surface of the rotor. You can see the sanding marks in there. So that is ready to go back on. And just to touch on safety stuff for a minute, we have the jack, floor jack is under the spring U-bolts on the front axle. And then we have a jack stand which is under the axle too. And then I also place the tire under the front of the truck so that it has something to fall down on if for some reason something happened. Okay, let's put this thing back together now and do the right side. See if I can find a bolt here. Never the easy way. Okay, there we go. And then we put the frame back on for the calipers. Okay. We're not tight yet. Okay, get off there. Okay, let me go get a torque wrench. Bring these up to 60 pounds. Okay, now £80. Now 100 pounds. So 100 pounds on that. Then need to get the cylinders depressed back into the caliper. So you just have to be careful not to pinch the rubber boot around the pistons in the caliper. Okay, that's all the way in. That's all the way in. If you have added brake fluid before, there's a chance that you're going to have a spill, because as you push the piston back into the caliper, it is going to fill up the brake fluid reservoir. All right, here are the new brake pads. Okay, let's put them in. Oh, that spring clip's not there. Where's that spring clip? Right there. This way. Okay, go, get up there. Okay. Okay. Put our springs in there. Okay, and let's put our caliper back on. Okay, tighten up the bolts. So we have put our retaining clips back in and the two spring clips here. So everything is back where it's supposed to be. And there's just a straight slot here that you have, or a slot that you have to make sure is lining up with the caliper so that it screws in all the way. Okay, there we go. That has a flat edge that has to go into the housing of the caliper. Okay, come on, let's go on there. Okay. Hit this with 60 pounds torque. And I think I'll go up to 70 on these. Okay. So there is the torque wrench I'm using. It's a nice old Craftsman industrial. It's actually a pretty decent torque wrench. So these are the bolts for the frame of the caliper, 15/16. And these other bolts for the caliper itself are 17 millimeter. And you can see the new disc brake pads in there. You can see the retaining clips coming diagonally there and below. And then we have these spring clips in here. So we are set to go. The left side is done. We're going to put that together now. So that's just a matter of putting the wheel back on and torquing the wheel lug nuts down. 100 pounds, I believe it is. Okay, so I will pause now. Everybody knows how to put a wheel on. Okay. Okay, let's put our blocks behind the wheels here. There's one. There's the other. This is just a piece of construction strap that I have a bend on the end so I can get it behind here and pull these out. There we go. impact gun is just not strong enough. Now, let's get it off the ground. And we put the tire under the truck.
Hard work, huh?
It's not that bad. I got the air tools and stuff.
That's good.
Yeah, and it's only, you know, the front disc brake pad, so 2 bolts. 2 bolts and a little bit of a mess is all.
Yeah, that'll be hard for me to do.
You know, it really is pretty simple. You just dig in and do it, and it'll be one of those like, really? I never did this before?
Me too.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna start doing something like that, it's hard for me to do.
Well, you know, a safe way is to take a picture of it before you start, and take a picture as you're going, and then you've got a record of things. And but I mean, you know, it really is. It's just 2 bolts and a couple of clips. Hit it with some sandpaper. Save yourself, you know, $200-300 bucks.
Yep.
Going to the shop. All right, take care. Okay, so here we go. This rotor's in good shape. Just get the gun on it. Things are always easier with the impact gun. Get off of there. Oops. Okay. So we are, I don't know if I can get this thing on here or not. I don't think it's going to hold. Technically, that should not be holding at all. Okay, so let's pull off these 2 bolts here before the GoPro falls off, because it's not on a flat surface. Make sure the gun's in reverse, and we are in reverse. Bolt 1. Bolt 2. I did not retract the caliper pistons yet, so let's get those in. So you can see the caliper coming across, and the pistons are retracting into the caliper. I should have done this before I unbolted it, but that's all right. So there you can see the 2 pistons on the caliper. Let's pull these clips out, and these brake pads are in much better shape than the left side was. It's interesting that the left side wore down so much faster than the right. Okay, so good to go. Grab some sandpaper quick. I knew that was only going to last for a couple of minutes with that angle. See, it's going into a curved surface here. Okay, so these are the pads here, and you can see it's got heat cracks on that, so it's disintegrating. And again, heat cracks on these too. So hauling around the camper all that time took a bit of a toll on my brakes. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can get that stuck on there okay. And I'm going to sand the rotor a bit. This is just the backyard mechanics way of doing it. You want to sand straight out and just score it up a little bit. Don't get any grease and dirt on it. It's already clean, so just sand it. And this will just help the new disc brake pads seat into the rotor. Do it on the inside. This is where you get to the inside. Oops. Wrong surface. So we got a couple of revolutions here. I'm going to go grab a rag with a little bit of solvent on it. This is just a little bit of lacquer thinner. Any kind of a fast drying solvent is good. See how that just dries right off. Okay. Looks good. Okay. You should be able to see the little bits of scratch marks on there. Okay. We'll put in the new disc brake pads. Make sure the spring clips are all in place. Yes, they are. So we'll put in that and that. One. There's two. Okay. Now we got to finish compressing the two pistons. And then put the caliper back on. And so as long as there is no brake fluid leaking out from the pistons, you're good to go. You gotta squeeze one and hold the other so that they don't seesaw in and out on you. One goes out while the other's going in. And so I think we have got it. Then make sure that the rubber seal is in, pressed in too. Okay, that's good. Now, let's put this back on and remember to get these straight sections lined up with that when you fasten them, bolt them back on. Ooh, wait a second, not done. I have to put the spring clip on. Don't forget to put the clips back on. There's one. And you see in that, getting these clips back in place, there's these little tiny holes in here. Right there. Okay, now we're back. Now we're ready to go together. Bolt. Where is that? Okay, bottom bolt went right in. This thing is lined up the way it's supposed to be. Yes, it is. remember to make sure to get that lined up properly so that it seats all the way. And same thing with the bottom one. We're going to torque these to 70 pounds. Okay, that is that. We have it set. 2 bolts are tight. Spring clips are all in. And there you go. Now I'm going to put the back on, but I will show you this real quick. Okay, so you can see the brake pads inside there. You can see the sanding marks on it. And then we saw that we cleaned with lacquer thinner, which is a fast evaporating, leaves no film cleaning solvent. And what's the last thing? We've got our floor jack, and we have our jack stand, and we have the tire under the truck for safe operations. And so we are done here. Let's put the wheel tire back on. Clip this back in place. Alright, let's put our lug nuts on. It is starting to rain, so that's good. I'm finishing at a good time. Turn the wrench to forward. Get in there and spin them on down. Torque wrench for 110. And we have to put the truck wheel down on the ground to tighten it. Okay. Okay. 110 pounds. Okay, and we'll start here and go around. And there you have it. Quick and easy brake job on an F-250. Start the truck. One thing you do not want to do when you change your brake pads is it's going to have no pedal at the brake down here, so you want to bring the brakes in easy. You don't want to push them all the way down, because you can push the brakes all the way down into corrosion inside the master cylinder and damage the seals in the master cylinder. So turn it on, and we're just going to go a little bit.
$99. The tunnel is now open.
Halfway, and now we have pedals. Okay. And there you have it. We have brakes. And they're up higher than they were. They feel more solid a little bit. Let me show you the reservoir inside the hood. So this here is the brake fluid reservoir. You can see the max line on it there, and down at the bottom is the minimum line. So you don't need to keep adding fluid. If your fluid's going down, what it's telling you is you need to replace your brake pads. And when you replace the brake pads and you compress your cylinders at the wheel cylinders for either drum or for disc brakes, the fluid that is in there will backflow up into the reservoir, and when you change all four brakes, it will pretty much fill the reservoir right back up to the top. And if you have added fluid to the system, then when you compress the cylinders, you're going to get brake fluid pouring out through the top. And so that is just one thing to keep in mind. Okay, that is it. That is changing the brakes on a 2000 F-250, but the principle is pretty much the same for any vehicle. Okay, have fun, and see you on the next video. And do not forget to subscribe if you like my how-to help videos. Okay, these are the new brake pads that I put on there. PFC brakes, carbon metallic. Multi-layer technology. No noise, no dust, no compromise. Quieter. Stops quicker. Lasts longer. No mushy pedal. Longer rotor life. Okay, well these are the old pads, and you see they all wore pretty evenly except this one, which broke. You see the brake material, the pad material that was embedded into the metal of the disc brake pad sheared off, and that's what's caused my brake problems. So yeah, these brake pads didn't seem to like the heat. This one has heat cracks. This one has heat cracks. And this one has heat cracks. And this one sheared off. So, anyway, we're good to go. Okay.